Hi, I'm George from Martin's Greenhouse in Philadelphia, New York. It's June, and we're talking planting hydrangeas. The word hydrangea comes from the Greek. It's separated into two parts. One means hydra, which is water, may sound familiar to you, and the second is angean, which means vessel. As will be the case with all the hydrangeas we talk about today, hydrangeas need a lot of water. So whatever species we're planting, make sure you're planting in a spot where you're able to provide or naturally provides plenty of moisture. There's 4 species of hydrangea I'd like to discuss. The first one is going to be the Hydrangea paniculata or panicle hydrangea. These hydrangeas form large cone-shaped blooms fairly early in the spring, and they continue to bloom throughout the season. These are the hydrangea that are easiest to care for. They'll take full sun, and they need very little pruning. What is typically the case is once a hydrangea has finished its blooms for the years, like a panicle hydrangea here, you're able to cut it back almost right back to like knee-high or lower once all the blooms are spent. Because panicle hydrangeas bloom on new wood, you're able to cut that bush back nearly the whole way without worrying how it's going to affect its bloom time the following season. Panicle hydrangeas come in dozens of varieties, and so one of the things you're going to want to look at is how big they actually get. A smaller variety like this little lime punch here is going to stay fairly compact and low, whereas the limelight prime can get large, 6 feet or more. One of the things you'll notice about panicle hydrangeas is they all bloom some version of white or white-green, and almost universally, but there are some exceptions, turn some sort of pink, dark pink, or blush. If you're working in a shady spot that doesn't get much sun at all, the way to go is going to be an oak leaf hydrangea, Hydrangea quercus. These tend to have a little bit more cascading or even a little bit of a climbing feature to them, and they're going to stay a white to white green. They may get faint color in the fall, but it won't be nearly as strong. Most blooming shrubs like this don't tend to show as vibrant blooms when they're a shade-loving plant. I also have this smooth hydrangea, Hydrangea arborescens. These are a spring-blooming hydrangea, and you'd prune them similarly to the way you would bloom a panicle. The blooms don't last as long, but they are large, prominent round blooms that are really notable while in season. The last hydrangea species I'd like to talk about in this video are these wonderful macrophylla hydrangeas. Macrophylla means big leaf, and as you can see, these have a prominent leaf size compared to my panicle hydrangeas. Macrophylla hydrangeas produce a really large, bold bloom in a very round shape rather than a cone shape on the top of the shrub. There's several things to know about growing a successful macrophylla hydrangea. First of all, they do tolerate and even prefer a little bit more shade. In northern climates, it's not quite as critical, but still, they'll always thrive best if they've got a bit of protection from the afternoon sun. Macrophylla hydrangeas prefer water just like any other, but their pruning is handled a little bit differently. Because they bloom both on the old and new wood in these newer cultivars, it's important to make sure you bloom at the right time. Whereas with a panicle hydrangea or other varieties, you can cut them back pretty much to the ground at the end of the season. These will be best pruned as soon as the bloom is done, midsummer. In that way, growth will continue, allowing wood to exist throughout the winter, providing more bloom opportunity the following spring. Another thing to consider is the fact that you can change the color of macrophylla hydrangeas by using a soil acidifier. The more acid the soil, the bluer the hydrangea bloom will be. The more alkaline the soil, the redder the hydrangea bloom will be. Now, people say acidic soil turns it blue, but here's a fact for you. The acid that's provided doesn't actually turn the hydrangea blue. It provides soluble aluminum already existing in the soil that then turns the hydrangea blue. Some hydrangea varieties here in the macrophylla species that I'd especially like to point out. First of all, we've got the endless summer varieties here. I have a bloomstruck, which naturally tends to be a bit more purple. The classic endless summer right here, which is your classic blue color. And then over on this side, we've got the summer crush, which is going to start a pink green and turn into a deep cherry red. I'd like to draw particular attention to the proven winner's Let's Dance Skyview hydrangea. This is a cross between the macrophylla hydrangea and mountain hydrangeas, which are Hydrangea serrata. The Let's Dance Skyview features blooms that last a little bit longer than your average macrophylla. It tolerates winters better, and the stems are sturdier in the events of storms. Hydrangeas overall are a great way to improve the look of your garden. They also make a great gift. Hydrangeas in Western culture have frequently been associated with concepts of grace, and in Eastern cultures, like in Japan, a hydrangea is often a gift when you're trying to tell somebody that you're sorry. If you have any more questions about hydrangeas, come to Martin's Greenhouse and we'd be happy to discuss the best hydrangea for your backyard. Interested in a hydrangea for your backyard? Come out to Martin's greenhouse, where we'd be happy to answer your questions or post them below.